PharmaVentures, experts in deals and alliances.
Hello and welcome to PharmaVentures Insights here at the Innovation Forum 2017 in Oxford. Big changes seem to be heading for the pharmaceutical industry as digital health becomes a driver for how things are going to be done in the future. With me today on the show is Andrew Freed of IBM, one of the major players in IT and computing for many, many years, and now bringing their efforts to bear in the world of healthcare. Andrew, welcome.
Thanks very much, Adrian. Good to be here.
So perhaps we could start with a sort of fairly basic overview question. What is IBM? Why is IBM getting involved in healthcare and what is it doing?
Well, healthcare is all about big data these days, and we're a big player obviously in big data. So the skills that we've learnt in other industries, we're now sort of bringing to the life sciences industry. And then in addition to that, there's been a huge transformation that's taken place around artificial intelligence, or cognitive computing as we like to call it. And that's driving a lot of the changes. We can do more today with big data than we've ever been able to do. So, you know, we have this evolution around big data. We have this evolution around, you know, artificial intelligence. So if you go back to when Big Blue sort of won a computer game of chess many years ago, it wasn't really artificial intelligence. It was a computational sort of exercise. But if you go to a couple of years ago, 2011, when we sort of, you know, had a computer, an IBM computer that was pitting itself against real contestants in a game of Jeopardy, then the computer had to answer questions in real time. And to do that required a form of artificial intelligence. And that really was a marker in terms of our transformation. And a transformation about the things that we could do in the life sciences industry.
So you said artificial intelligence and computational almost. I think the layman observes computing and what it does as number crunching.
Yeah.
But it's more than that now. Artificial intelligence is more than that, or is it still just number crunching?
No. Well, there's obviously a huge amount around numbers. Let's take a couple of examples. So, you know, basically the human genome and doing a full genomic sequence, 3 billion or over 3 billion base pairs. Doing that is a computational exercise. Using artificial intelligence is being able to interrogate that and looking for variants and basically making then a recommendation around treatment options, okay? And then doing that in such a way that we almost have a hierarchy of treatment options, saying based on your tumour profile, we've done a whole genome sequence against your tumour, and then we can say based on that, here are some various treatment options, say around oncology, that we can look at. That requires a degree of artificial intelligence to be able to do that. Right. And it looks at various things. So it's looking at a data set, which is the whole genome. It's looking at data that's basically coming from, you know, say in this particular case, Memorial Sloan Kettering, around our sort of Watson for oncology, looking at that, which is taking other data sets in terms of, you know, the way they would treat the disease, what's in medical journals, and it's bringing all that together around a treatment recommendation for that patient based on their medical record, their condition, right, against a number of different parameters. To bring all those varied data sets together and make a recommendation around treatment requires artificial intelligence, right, a form of cognitive computing.
Okay.
And the way we do it, I suppose, is that we try then to link that, as we did in the game show, to be able to say, here's a recommendation and here's the supporting evidence for that recommendation. So, and we've got various recommendations, a hierarchy of recommendations where we have attach a probability to it. So we think that's the high probability, you know, treatment option, the medium, the low, and then you can go into each in terms of the supporting documentation about why do we make that decision or why do we make that decision for that particular patient. So it's quite a powerful tool. Right.
So in the traditional drug development world, you take a putative treatment and you test it in a clinical trial, again, double-blind, placebo-controlled, and say, yeah, it works, and therefore we can market it and sell it.
Yeah.
Is the same going on for artificial intelligence and the data? So you're actually looking at it saying, these are the decisions it's making, is it getting them right?
Oh, well, it's an interesting question. I mean, The drug trial process, the drug discovery process today is really driven by a regulatory framework. So you have to follow a regulatory framework. And that in some respects limits you to what you can do, okay? And how you actually do it, the sequence of events, how you present that evidence. So the discovery process using artificial intelligence can help throw up different options, okay? So it's one part of the process. The process itself, in terms of discovery and taking it through a regulatory process through the FDA, won't change. At this particular point, it may change later on, but there's a different discussion there about whether we'll do trials the way we do them today in 5 years' time or 10 years' time. But looking for new compounds and looking at what might be a good compound in a particular area, in the world of all the chemical compounds that exist, requires a degree of artificial intelligence to basically scan all the different articles. We know that we can't keep up with all the different articles. We know all the thousands of compounds that exist that are out there. We know this compound may be similar to that compound, and maybe if that one works there, that one might work there as well. That one's under patent, that one might not be. So there's a whole host. I mean, we're touching on a lot of different things here. Sure. But there's we're dealing in a world today where we can basically look at all these different data sets, disparate data sets, pull the data and the information together and have the tool, the artificial intelligence, try to guide us in the right direction. That's what you're trying to do. The researchers, you're not supplanting that at all, it's not going away, but you're trying to make their life easier by saying, I think this compound looks good. Okay. Or you've got this particular drug that's been used there, maybe it could be repurposed there for various reasons. So, we've got a patent on it there, maybe we can use it somewhere else, So, and we can make a decision around that more intelligently than maybe we could previously.
That's it.
So it's the support tool.
It's an adjunct to think.
That's right, it's an adjunct.
Interesting, because I think people have the same views of, and I'm being simplistic here, of satellite navigation. It's not going to replace people making decisions about how they're driving. Now, most people can't go anywhere without one. Yes. They wouldn't know where to go. Yes, yes. Are we ultimately going to end up with people just devolving their responsibility to IBM Watson or whatever it is and saying, computer said we should do this, so that's what we did?
It's a very good question, and that's it's almost a higher order level of questioning is the way I would put it, because it really is around society and the way we sort of are now getting tools to help us or maybe not. So we know, we say you use the reference around Google Maps, we know that it provides enormous benefit. But we also know about the people that drive off a cliff or into a river. So, because they've continued to follow it. Yeah. Haven't we all done that and thought, this has got it wrong, or, and where's the mistake? So we know that it can help, but we know that it won't always work all the time. So I think it's a higher order societal question about how much we devolve. There are things in our environment that are forcing, probably forcing is a bit too hard a word, but are taking us down a path where we need the tools of artificial intelligence. So the world is getting more complex, healthcare is getting more complex, the drugs are getting more complex, but I'm getting more data as well. So I've got the whole genome sequence. In 2010 that would have cost $14,000 to do. Today it costs less than $1,000 to do my whole genome sequence. In a couple of years they say it will be around $200 to do. When we're down at that level, the $100 and $200 mark, we'll all be getting it done. So we have data sets that we can access today that we previously didn't. Medical records, we'll be able to access, hopefully, we'll have better access to those, so I can sort of bring that data set together. And these other things, whether there are other clinical trials that are taking place around the world that I can access data around that, or, there's a whole host of data sets that previously didn't exist, and the computing power enables me now to go into them, to take data from them and analyse them in a way I couldn't do. So, the way I sort of look at things, I think, is that, if you go back to 2010, it was costly to process, it was costly to store, it cost a lot to do, get the basic data around, the whole genome sequence, and it was very difficult to move around. 3 billion base pairs. I needed to put it onto a hard disk and literally get DHL to take it from one place to another. Today, the cost of processing power continues to go down. The cost of storage is dramatically lower than it was in 2010. The ability to move the data from A to B electronically, I can do that with large data sets today that I couldn't previously do. So I have this world of opportunity around interrogating data, today that I didn't previously have, and we'll take advantage of that as we've taken advantage of Google Maps.
Right. So we've big data, lots and lots of data coming from all over the place, and you guys are doing a fantastic job with it. On the other hand, we're hearing it's all about personalised medicine, treating the individual. So are these two working against each other, or are they working together?
Oh, absolutely working together. I mean, we're in this era where we'll get more personalised information and we'll be able to make decisions around a personal level. Now, this raises the issue about how we develop drugs. So the topic today, or the understanding today, is the number that's roughly used in the industry. It's about $2.6 billion to develop a drug that may take 10, 12 years' time to develop. Do we need to do that in the future when I've got different ways of monitoring my patients? I can directly monitor you around your taking of the drug. I can monitor your body in terms of its vital signs, so I know how you're reacting, and I can probably, with some smart algorithms, work out whether you're getting better or not, right? And I can do that real time, and I probably very quickly work out if you were having an adverse event. Not that you thought you were having one because it was a bad day, the clouds are overhead or whatever, but a real adverse event that was possibly, or probably, let's use that word, related to the drug you were taking. So do I need to do clinical trials the way I've previously done them, when I can go directly to you and understand your reaction to a drug? Now, if I'm doing that in the trial process, once the drug's available, I can then work out whether, real-world evidence, you're benefiting from that particular drug or not, right, which would, to me, become the holy grail if I was a payer. Wouldn't you want to know where your drugs, or the drugs that you were paying for, whether they were working or not? And as a patient, you want to take the drug that works. You don't want to go through a process that says, I've got cancer and that's my first line treatment, or it's worked or not worked, has it worked or not, that process that we go through today where the patient goes to the doctor, there's more results, and and the doctor says, well, it hasn't worked, I'm sorry, let's now try this. Can I shorten that process? Well, I think we can. I think we've got the technology to do it today. We might not have the will to do it in terms of the payer, and maybe even not the pharmaceutical company, but so we're not there yet. But we certainly are very close, I would argue, to having the technology and the way to sort of collect that data and manage that data, because there's a collection process and there's a management process, right. And then there's an analytical process that's associated with that, right. And they're all different.
Okay, you talked a lot about the benefits of having the data and what it can deliver for the patient. Well, it was all about treating sick people, and surely another holy grail is actually treating people so they don't get sick. Is there a role to play for AI and big data and all the other things in that?
I'm a believer in keeping it simple. This is where I diverge. I think people should, we want to solve major world health issues. We tell people to wash their hands. Still a major determinant of illness, right? We tell people to stop sitting down at their desks all day. We tell them to get up, to walk, to eat better. You don't need artificial intelligence to do this. This is common sense. The question to me is why we've lost that common sense, or are we not doing enough, or our government's not doing enough in providing the right facilities, the right, maybe something's missing in the school process, maybe there's not enough, stuff around exercise and all those kind of things. Maybe there should be more swimming pools for people, or gyms, or, where people are active. Maybe we've got things wrong in the way we've organised our society. This is another big higher order question. I don't think artificial intelligence is the answer to that at the macro level at all. I think for certain individuals that may be, say, diabetic or have a heart condition, we can sort of monitor them and help them and manage them, and maybe do things that can predict, if I eat this, what's going to happen to me, say if I'm a diabetic, So that is maybe where it plays. But at the broad level, we need to get the basics right. We've lost the basics.
Right. Lots of questions still unanswered, lots of work to do. Big data is obviously going to impact on all these areas, and we could probably talk for hours, but I think we're out of time now. So Andrew, thank you very much for joining us today.
Very happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For more information about PharmaVentures, visit our website